Welcome back to Jazz Mountain, where, on this night, the unholy saga of the Jazz Mountain's haunted house continues. We've once again risked our lives to bring you this story, venturing deep into the mountain archive to fetch the tome where the tale is kept. No one has dared to read the words in the book in many years, for fear of incurring the wretched Jazz Mountain curse. But we dared take the journey down into the dark, narrow cave, past a witches' graves, goblins' lairs, and lizard wizards' nests, to bring it to you on this unhallowed Halloween night. We must warn you, however, to listen at your own risk, for this story is not for the faint of heart. But if you're brave enough, stay with us to hear the legend of the Jazz Mountain ghost story and listen to the epic songs that have been hidden on dusty old vinyl records, unheard by anyone for who knows how long. Once again, we've ripped out the fragile, yellow pages of the book to compile them on a storyboard, which you can find on jazzmountainsHauntedHouse.com, so that you can read the lyrics without speaking them aloud and avoid the curse. And for this second tale, we've employed a 400-year-old vampire from 17th century Britain to read this story for us. He owes a heinous karmic debt to your DJ, and so agreed to help us tell this malevolent tale here tonight, in hopes that he can escape the gravity of his sinful destiny. When we concluded our last tale, Scotty, our hero, had completed the task, conquering his inner demons to extinguish the flame and free himself from the evil snare of his own ego. His journey was no small task, and he battled flying skulls, demon vultures, the mighty mitochondria, and even Godzilla himself. But his most formidable foe was his own self, and through his own bravery and resilience, he was able to conquer this demon and become the cherished savior of the Jazz Mountain realm. Many thought that's where our story would end, but the haunted house is a treacherous and heinous place. So despite Scotty valiantly transcending himself to become an enlightened werewolf, trouble still lurked about in the house, even if the demon beings who lived there thought they had finally escaped the curse thanks to their courageous messiah. So tonight, we bring to you the next chapter of the frightening Jazz Mountain's haunted house. We thank you, and may you once again escape the curse. Chapter 1: The Last Tune.
Scotty was gone. The night of the unholy werewolf rave, however, was pure bliss. The demon beings partied all through the night, and their hangovers the next morning were a small price to pay for the privilege of dancing and communing with their honored guest. But their celebration was relatively short-lived. Scotty graced the demon beings with his presence for 9 moons, but then vanished as fast as he came. During his time in the haunted house, Scotty brought about a time of unexcelled peace and happiness. It was a true golden age, and the demon beings felt like they were magically whole and complete while with him. They forgot their differences, as they had at the werewolf rave, and witches, devils, vampires, goblins, and ghouls all congregated as one. It was as if they had all become a part of that vast, spacious mind Scotty had awoken to. Their hostility was forgotten, and a great harmony and tranquility had taken its place. Living in the haunted house seemed like paradise. Some of the beings even thought they must have finally made it, and that their troubles were a mere distant dream. They felt so free that they presumed that their lives would be perfect like this forever. But then, all of a sudden, Scotty disappeared. Upon realizing their savior had not been seen in some days, Brett, and the haunted house band, who were Scotty's best friends, went up to his mountain retreat to look for him. They assumed he was resting, or maybe that he had gone for a walk in the Jazz Mountain acoustic forest to bask in the peaceful light of his mind, as he would do from time to time. Or maybe, they thought, he was testing them to see how they'd act in his absence. But after 2 weeks went by, they realized that he might actually be gone forever. The haunted house band went back to Scotty's mountain dwelling to search for signs of what might have happened to him, for a clue to why he had left, or for hints where he might have gone. They called out his name and chanted
666,
the unholy mantra, trying to summon Scotty, begging him to return. Inside Scotty's hut, they found only a single vinyl record, a reddish-brown guitar, and the gamma knife inside of a wooden treasure chest. There were no footprints, no food or provisions, no scrolls or notes. They caught no whiff of Scotty's distinct werewolf scent, and his hearthfire was merely a pile of cold ash. In despair, the band realized that Scotty was in fact gone, leaving behind no trace. But Brett thought that Scotty must have left behind some clue. He wouldn't just abandon them like that so cynically, would he? No, that wasn't the Scotty he knew. For after the unholy werewolf rave, Brett and Scotty had become very close. Even though Brett was kind of a creepy naked dude, Scotty treated him differently than the rest of the beings in the haunted house. Brett didn't see Scotty very often, or even speak with him all that much, even though they were friends before Scotty's great realization. Scotty, you see, had become a werewolf of few words. But every time Scotty looked at Brett, there was a special twinkle in his eye, and he always wore a certain wry, fang-filled smile. Brett wondered what Scotty was thinking. But then he came to learn that Scotty wasn't thinking at all. He was simply thus, a mirror reflecting whatever came his way. This puzzled, but also excited Brett. He wasn't sure just why, but he sensed he and Scotty had an unusual connection. Knowing this, Brett raked his mind for why Scotty might have left them so suddenly, but couldn't think of anything at all. But he knew that Scotty wouldn't leave without some reason. Even if they didn't understand, he trusted that Scotty knew best and would have abandoned them only if it truly had to be done. And he was certain that Scotty would have at least left them a clue. Thinking this, Brett grabbed the vinyl record and brought the haunted house band to his hut. He told them that he believed the song on the record must have some special message for them, and that he was convinced that it would give them a better sense of what had just happened. So they went into Brett's famous jam cave and anxiously dropped the needle. And this is what they heard.
Chapter 2. The Shaft.
The band, and particularly Brett, was greatly inspired by the song, which totally raged their faces off. Who was playing that triumphant, revolutionary music, they wondered. They had never heard anything that good. But after hearing it, they were left feeling even more perplexed. What band was that playing? Who was on that glorious-sounding guitar? It must have been Scotty, right? Brett thought. Now you see, Scotty had been heard faintly noodling on some kind of special guitar in his hut from time to time. But no one dared go near when they heard this, realizing that it was some kind of sacred meditation or ritual for him. They all sensed he was up to something important, and although they were wrought with curiosity as to what exactly his doing this meant, they assumed that some answer would eventually come in time. Scotty was like that, mysterious, yet as transparent as the purity of his mind. But this song was so brilliant, Brett thought, that it just had to be Scotty on guitar. But what did the song mean? There were no words. What were they to make of this cryptic clue he left them? But maybe, Brett suddenly realized, the song itself was the message. He knew at once there was only one thing to do. He must share it with the rest of the haunted house realm to spread the good word. So, shortly thereafter, the band held a secret meeting on top of the mystical mountain, trying to decide what to do and how to break the crushing news to the haunted house that Scotty was gone. They decided that they must take the vinyl, the guitar, and the gamma knife for safekeeping, and made a pact that they should carefully guard these objects, which had now become relics, sacred remembrances of their cherished hero. They called upon a class of fire demon beings, known for their undying loyalty and instinct for protecting things, to guard the relics. The fire beings would lay down their lives before letting anyone steal them. That was just their nature. So the band kept the objects inside a chamber deep inside Brett's hut, where they would be safe from harm, with the fire beings guarding them day and night. The band also resolved that these things would not belong just to them, but that they would be shared by the entire realm. They also decided that they would summon the demon beings to the peak for a concert that night. Before the encore, they would announce Scotty's departure from the haunted house to the crowd and play the song, which they now called The Last Tune. They figured that the song would provide some solace and some hope to the beings after telling them the terrible news. Or at least, they hoped it would. At this point, hope was all they had. That night, the beings came in hordes, smoking the spectral kush and drinking their blood wine, full of revelry and anticipation. You see, the Haunted House Band had become quite popular ever since the Unholy Werewolf Rave. They had become the most beloved group in the realm, and their concerts were a kind of holy oasis for the demon beings, giving them a sip of the life-giving bliss they felt during the rave, tiding them over to the next one, which they assumed would be on Halloween as tradition had it, which was only now about 3 months away. The Haunted House Band came out and murdered, extending each song even further than usual, and weaving in and out of epic jam after epic jam. In the second set, dark clouds rolled in and a great thunderclap was heard as they closed set 2, and the crowd roared their ghastly roar, erupting with excitement and vile satisfaction. But their joy on this night was short-lived. For during the encore break, Brett announced that their savior had vanished, and that the only things he left behind were the vinyl, the guitar, and the gamma knife. A great hush came over the crowd, and the demon beings at once felt scared, lost, and forlorn. Their grief was so palpable that the band questioned even playing the vinyl at all. But Brett urged that they stick with their plan, for he was convinced it was the right thing to do. So, he dropped the needle, and the notes came ringing out through the PA. He nervously awaited the crowd's reaction, and although he could tell all the beings wanted to rage, the news of their honored savior's departure was just too heavy to overcome that night. He saw a few of them trying to dance, but it felt forced. Brett then knew that his plan hadn't worked, and the Haunted House Band walked off the stage heavy with grief. The demon beings sulked, as they made their way back to their dwellings, and a vast darkness overcame the realm. They felt like they had totally gotten the shaft. The 9-month celebration, which many thought would last forever, came to an abrupt end, and instead of communing as one, the vampires, witches, devils, goblins, and ghouls again went their separate ways, and conflict and strife returned to the haunted house. And, as legend has it, a famous song was soon written about this moment which would be known for generations to come. And many thought that it must have been written as some sort of hard-won wisdom that the band would have imparted to the crowd that night, if they could have. But as the beings sullenly walked back to their huts, they had no sacred message from the future. Their hearts felt only despair. But this is the song we have in the mountain record, and we will risk our lives to play it for you now. You may notice that the band was compassionate enough to make such a grave message a boogie, rather than a somber ballad. May this song's wisdom be of great benefit to you, for that was the band's generous reason for writing this song.
Is that when you're there, you can't even tell? As you move through this life you love so, you could be there and not even know. So you say, so what? I'm doing just fine. The irony is that it's all in your mind, and that is why hell is so vicious and cruel. But you'll just go on an oblivious fool. 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 Hey, Leo!
Chapter 3. Party Time.
Feeling this great despair, the haunted house band called another meeting. Brett, who had with his contagious energy and moxie become the front man of the band, told his friends that he thought it must be up to them to lift the spirits of the demon beings. With Scotty gone, the realm had lost its light, and Brett thought it was now their sacred duty to do whatever they could to help. So, they decided that they must play shows every night, and not with just one or two, but rather 3 sets and a long, jammed-out encore. Each night, they took the stage on the mystical mountain. They could feel the demon being's energy swell. And although everyone still felt a little discouraged, their spirits began to lighten, and the haunted house band's popularity grew. Since Jack and Chet already had guitars, and since amongst them Brett was the closest with Scotty, the band decided to let Brett play the sacred guitar, which they now called the Languedoc, named after the legendary vampire craftsman who made the instrument out of a single tree, struck by lightning one stormy night during the first full moon after the werewolf rave. They realized the band might need an added boost, and having a third guitar could really help. Full of gratitude, Brett humbly accepted their gift. As soon as he picked it up, however, something very strange happened. Although Brett knew some chords and a few scales, he wasn't known for his guitar playing, but instead for his crazy stage antics and for his enticing nude dance moves, which captivated the audience as they cheered every time his balls flapped in the wind. But when Brett picked up Scotty's guitar, in a flash, he suddenly felt at one with the entire musical spectrum, as if the guitar was effortlessly speaking through him in divine melodies. And Brett got really, really good, really, really fast. He was so overcome with joy that he stayed in Scotty's mountain retreat for 40 days and 40 nights, never once putting down the guitar. There are many legends in the realm as to what happened during that time. Some say that Scotty appeared to teach Brett the art of transcendent sounds. Others say that Brett went on a vodka binge and, in letting go, got out of his own way and let the music come to him. And still others say that the guitar, through some kind of dark magic, moved Brett's fingers with some kind of unholy gravity to play the notes, which sounded perfect and godlike. We may never know the real story of those legendary 40 days and 40 nights, but what we do know is that when Brett returned to the mystical mountain for his first show after his retreat, the haunted house band played their best show to date, and the crowd went absolutely wild. Not only had Brett become a true master of the guitar, but he also had written a whole catalogue of songs so epic that each time the demon beings first heard them, it was like they were all familiar, as if they had heard them in a distant past life, and had now once again reawoken to their glory. The band played every night for an entire month, and it was a total blast. Scotty was gone, but the demon beings felt as if they had perhaps found their new savior. Many beings risked their lives, daring to venture into the mountain archive to read some of the ancient haunted house texts, searching for some prophecy which would confirm their hopes. Many were encouraged and thrilled by what they found, but of course they couldn't speak about what exactly they had read. Because, remember, if they spoke the words in the book aloud, the curse would befall them. So they each kept their own hopes deep inside a secret compartment of their hearts, and instead expressed their excitement with their collective, devilish dance at each show. A great wave of delight had begun to swell in the realm, and the beings once again began to convene as one. It was, in the haunted house, party time once again.
Chapter 4. The Bathtub.
The party raged like Woodstock 99. But you gotta remember, fires, riots, death and destruction were kind of the haunted house beings' things. So the vibe was absolutely perfect. They hadn't rocked out this hard in months, and never had Ozzy and Bon scored so many chicks. The demon beings were so high that they worked together to create fresh, original blends of booze and party drugs to keep things going. And they took them every day from moonrise until the moon set. The party never stopped. During this time, Brett became even more famous. Every time the Haunted House Band took the stage, they played a completely masterful show, and always debuted at least one new classic song, and had at least one completely transcendent jam, like nothing anyone had ever heard. Brett was treated to any beautiful demon girl and to any drug or drink he wanted, and he was showered with gifts, praise, and adoration. He never slept. He was just having so much fun that he raged all night every night. He cherished connecting with all the demon beings, and he would even play private shows for small groups of them out of the kindness of his heart, and also from some deep need to express this epic, sacred music that came pouring out of his soul and through his magic guitar. He had become the most famous rock star, and also the nicest guy of all time in the fabled haunted house. And that was saying a lot. In reality, he had become something so paramount to the very existence of the realm that he had started to really feel, deep down inside, that he had maybe in fact become its true leader of destiny. It just felt so perfect and so amazing that it must have been meant to be. A euphoric, glowing orb of light lived in his chest, and it shined outward with brilliance to grace all those around him. And his fans gave him back this same energy, in a kind of cosmic yin and yang. The energy between Brett and others seemed to flow with an effortless elegance, and they danced as one with a tranquil, yet energetic ease. It was so amazing that it was almost just too good to be true. Most loved seeing Brett thrive, but to just a few, it was quite an unwelcome sight. Ted Nugent, that piece of shit douche from the first tale, was still living in the haunted house at this time. And he was still a vindictive, evil bastard. Every time he went to a haunted house band show, he stood in the back and crossed his arms, staring at the band with fire in his eyes, and with that shitty broken guitar strapped across his back. He was a total buzzkill, and people had started to feel his negative energy spread like a plague. One night, some young vampires were so fed up that they were finally about to jump him, but then Ted got super lucky and was saved by what happened on stage. Just as the vampires were about to tabletop his ass and bite his neck, all of a sudden everyone in the crowd burst into a deafening roar. Brett had begun handing out chalices of drinks to the demon beings on the rail, as the band broke into a new song that they wrote right there on the spot. And it was absolutely fucking amazing. You see, that day Brett had met a jester, a very rare type of being in the realm. They hit it off really well, mainly because the jester made the most hilarious fart joke Brett had ever heard, about Wales Dutch ovening a bunch of kids under a giant carpet. So, Brett thought it'd be funny to bring some kids and some of the most obese demons up on stage with him. Brett was laughing extra hard that night, because he had been gifted the first batch of some witch's homemade gin. It was so nefariously exquisite that he joked with Jack that he might as well take a bath in it on stage. He could drink this stuff all night. And Jack, seeing that might actually be a great call, stole some random dude's bathtub and brought it on stage, filling it with the witch's brew. Brett jumped right in, and being the generous guy he was, he began ladling the gin out of the tub to share it with the entire crowd. The tub seemed to be bottomless and have a never-ending supply, and many began to cry out that it was a miracle. But instead of supposing Scotty was to thank, they all thought that it must be Brett alone who had performed this great feat. They all got extra fucked up that night, and Brett wrote this song right then and there as the crowd splashed around in their bathtub gin. It instantly became the crowd's favorite tune, and the jam was truly sublime. And the message of the song inspired them so much that they all went home and ripped out their bathtubs and brought them back to the mystical mountain. They all jumped in and started to dance, collectively hopping up and down to the rhythm, spilling their spirits everywhere as they jammed. That night for the encore, the crowd wouldn't leave until the haunted house band played the song one more time. And after that, it instantly became the anthem of the haunted house realm. They all held up their glasses and torches and sang out the sacred words together, getting drunker and drunker with each and every sip. We have this moment captured in time for you here in the Mountain Archive, and we'll play it for you now, at risk of spreading the curse. But we feel this jam is worth it. Brett was on fire that night, and really, really fucking drunk.
Making soup for the ambassadors, and I'm in the hallway singing to the troubadours, and the kings are all lined up outside the gate, and the autumn bell is ringing, but they'll just have to wait. Where is the Joker? Have you seen him around with a street comb cap that he wears like a crown? Have you seen his striped stockings and heard his sad tale about the kids under the carpet and the purple humpback whale? Here come the ambassadors, they show up one by one. Brett is tasting all the soup to see if it is done. And Wendy's on the windowsill, waiting to be let in. And we're all in the bathtub now, making bathtub gin. When the kings storm the hallway, they've climbed up through the gates. They didn't mean to be impolite, but they just couldn't wait. Here comes the Joker with his silly grin. He carries a martini made of bathtub gin. The Joker, we all must laugh, 'cause we're all in this together, and we love to take a bath.
Chapter 5. The Heist.
After the unhallowed bathtub gin swim, as it came to be known, the crowd hung around the venue for a while, and the lot scene was totally lit. In fact, they all just stayed in their bathtubs, all vowing to finish their stash before the moon fell behind the mountains. They were overcome with such sensational bliss that the crowd suddenly realized they must pay homage to the band to thank them for such a magnificent night. Scotty's old friend Wes, also known as the helping friendly bookie, had come to the haunted house last Halloween, when Scotty finally remembered to call him after his great realization. He at once jumped on stage and spoke into the mic, telling the entire demon being realm that they should give Brett the unholy gamma knife, saying this would be a worthy gift to the band to pay tribute for their magical performance. The crowd roared in agreement, and they summoned Brett, who stumbled onto the stage, spilling bathtub gin all over his naked body, his balls flapping once for every step he took up the steep stairs to the stage. Full of gratitude, Brett accepted the gamma knife and gave this speech to the crowd.
Hello, I'm Bennett. I hear your Thanksgiving a day. What are you doing? Time of the morning to you pilgrims. I don't wonder. I got mine, no. I got boots on my shoes. They're called galoshes. Oh, you gotta have a British to have a muffin. It's a it's a Mayo. Orthodontist. I never even heard of it.
You see, Brett was pretty drunk that night, but the crowd knew what he meant and let out a ghoulish howl in approval. One who did not approve, however, was Ted fucking Nugent, who still stood in the back of the crowd, putting out a shitty vibe. He couldn't stand Brett. How could this fat, naked, lucky motherfucker be stealing all the glory? Ted had been trying for years to write a hit album, or even simply one good song. And here was this tool, running around like a frat boy, getting all the chicks, and writing sacred licks, singing like a lark, and stealing all his thunder. He remembered seeing Brett when he tried to strangle that other douche, and he hated him then too. Ted just wasn't a fan, and he had been vlogging about it for months, but only ever getting a sarcastic like or two. Ted had had it, and the helping friendly bookie had spotted that, and it was all part of a grand conniving plan. You see, since coming to the haunted house, the HFB had been hot and cold. When he first arrived, he was totally killing it, getting all the demon beings to bet on just about everything. No one had been brave enough in centuries to take bets in the realm, because imagine having to ask a big snaggle-toothed sloth demon to pay up. It was just too dangerous, and most bookies got killed and were made into jerky, potions, or evil dolls. But Wes was different, because he really knew how to set the odds, and he captivated many of the demons in the haunted house. He was especially popular with ghosts, because their main hang-up was craving, and the insatiable urge to bet was simply too tempting for them to pass up. So they all bet huge with Wes. But recently, since Brett had begun to rock the fuck out, things had changed. The demon beings were partying so hard to the band that they didn't need to gamble anymore. They were having too much fun, and they needed all their money for haunted house band shows. The HFB was on the down and out, and for this, he definitely blamed Brett. But you see, the HFB was very, very wise. Without even consciously thinking about it, a diabolical plan at once arose to his mind from the depths of his soul. He had seen Ted at a few shows, and just really couldn't stand the guy, but he saw something in Ted's eyes that glistened to him like a holy gem. Ted had no clue, but Wes had his pawn.
Isn't Brett the worst?
Wes asked Ted, suddenly appearing at his side. Ted scoffed and said,
"Yeah, bro, and he's got a tiny dick too. Look at that little thing."
I've been saying this ever since Scotty left, man. This guy's a fraud. His music is totally boring and unoriginal.
said Wes. And he looked intently at Ted, waiting for his reaction, because Wes knew well that the haunted house band ruled. Ted turned to Wes and said,
Have you heard my new album? It's next level shit, man. This haunted house band sucks.
Now Wes knew he had Ted right where he wanted him.
How'd you like to take this asshole down?
Wes said with a grin. Then Ted said,
I'd give my left nut just to see him fail once. And if his heart completely broke, that'd be the absolute best.
Who knows what exactly was going through the helping friendly bookie's mind that night? All we have is what's written in the mountain record. But it must have been pure genius, because he set in motion events that would forever be remembered in the haunted house realm. His masterful plan began as he told Ted the odds of his fateful bet.
I'll give you 666 to 1 odds that you can steal the gamma knife from Brett tonight.
Now you see, Ted was a sucker for a good bet, and he had been one of the few people left who Wes still had in his snare. But he had a few questions.
What do you mean? I've heard he's untouchable now. People say he sleeps in a hut guarded by rare fire demons whose sole purpose is to keep their master and his belongings safe. He's already probably home now, and he's got the gamma knife with him in there. How in the hell would I ever have a chance to steal it? Why such shitty odds, man? You must know something.
Now Wes had anticipated this answer, and he had already opened the ChatGPT app on his phone. You see, the HFB was a huge fan of ChatGPT. That's where he got most of his odds from. But anyway, he typed in prompt after prompt into the app, allowing Ted to lead the way with questions, thereby letting him walk right into his own trap. Wes knew just what prompts to type, and after some time, the app gave him just the strategy he was looking for to perfectly execute his plan. The HFB clearly saw from working with ChatGPT that what he needed to do was to convince Ted to break into Brett's hut with a pair of tweezers frozen from being dipped into liquid nitrogen. This would cause the fire beings guarding Brett's room to run away in horror, leaving the knife right there for the taking. ChatGPT had discovered that the fire beings hated anything that was cold from liquid nitrogen, and that for some unknown reason, they were utterly terrified of tweezers.
You see, man, 666 to 1 ain't bad. You got a pair of tweezers and a freezer?
Wes said to Ted, after explaining to him the strategy. Ted thought about it for less than a second and said,
They might be pretty dirty. But, yeah. How about I bet you $100 I can get that knife?
Wes stuck out his hand, and they shook on it, each thinking they had a deal. Wes knew that he would probably lose this bet, but he was playing the long game, and it was all a part of his treacherous scheme. So, the HFB and Ted ran over to Ted's house, put the tweezers in the freezer, had a couple of shitty beers to bide some more time, and then snuck over to Brett's hut, under the cover of menacing dark clouds hiding the moon. It was like taking candy from a baby in the end. For as soon as Ted cracked open the door, the frozen tweezers he was holding blew the fire beings out of the room at once in a brisk, frightful gust. They were even more scared of the tweezers than the app had let on, and they got the hell out of there instantly. Ted was now free to open the wooden chest, which wasn't even locked, because Brett just wasn't the kind of guy to lock a chest, especially since he was sleeping soundly right there next to it. Ted looked down on Brett as if he were an assassin about to take his fatal shot, and he at once felt a sort of hateful pity along with sadistic bliss. With fire in his eyes, he greedily reached in and stole the knife. He held it up above his head with an exultant, sinister smile. He knew he had really stuck it to Brett now, and he was so proud he could hardly contain himself. But for Wes, this was just the beginning. And legend has it, someone wrote this song about that fateful heist.
Chapter 6. The Knife.
Ted felt like $1,000,000 when he stole the gamma knife. In his mind, he had at once become the all-powerful top dog in the realm. He had stolen the sacred prize, ceremoniously bestowed unto Brett by the demon beings. Indeed, the knife was a metaphor for the being's undying love and appreciation for him. Ted had really sensed this when the crowd gave the knife to Brett at the bathtub gin swim, and it made him extra pissed. Having this sacred bounty in his hands had changed things, however. He suddenly felt as if he were the one in the realm who had been honored, as if he, and not Brett, was their new savior. He saw his future unfolding before him while gazing at the knife, which had become a mirror, reflecting to Ted the image of his best rocker self, in all his glory. He would have the next top album now, guaranteed. Those hot Asian chicks would finally take a ride in his Geo. Reporters would scream over each other to ask him questions, and critics would give him 5-star reviews. And the ghost of Mark Twain would probably write his biography. He would finally be the star he had always so desperately wanted to become. And also, had just won $66,660 from Wes. He was flying pretty high. Wes sensed this, and on the spot came up with an even more diabolical plan. He needed to somehow control that knife, he realized.
That knife rules, man. Mind if I take a look at it?
Said Wes. Ted hesitated for a second, looking at the gamma knife jealously, but then he handed it over. He realized he had won the bet and figured he might as well not kick Wes while he was down. It was one of the only nice things he'd ever done, but I guess he was feeling extra good that night. But Wes knew that although it appeared that he had lost the battle, he would win the war. It was all a part of his master plan. He and Ted had lit the fuse and started his evil game. In the Mountain Record, we have a song that was inspired by the thoughts that ran through the helping friendly bookie's mind that night.
got a knife, a statement from his former life when he was easy but alone. Beside him was an empty throne, but what of silver silken blade? Affix his gaze, his features stayed. Grasps the handle, clips the cable. One steps up, sits at his table. My friend, he's got a knife. My friend, he's got a wife. My friend, the clever ruse, persuasion through his thoughts peruse, a hidden relic from his past that wasn't there when he looked last. He feels it ticking like a bomb, feeding fear, assaulting calm. Takes the object, starts the game, moves it closer to the flame. My friend, the clever ruse, my friend, he lights the fuse.
Chapter 7. Ghost.
Wes took the unholy gamma knife and looked at it carefully. He pulled the knife nearer to his eyes, gazing at it intently, as if completely mystified. He then suddenly jolted and jumped high in the air.
Holy shit. You see this?
He yelled. Now you must understand, the magic of the gamma knife was that it looked different to everyone who held it. Its secret was that its handle was made out of chameleon skin eons ago by a magic wizard, and it therefore was able to change its appearance to appease whoever possessed it. What Wes saw was different from Ted, but because of ChatGPT, Wes knew that this would be the case, and he used it to his advantage. Wes said,
This thing's an insane computer, man. You see all these wires and lights? Damn. I think it's got a mind of its own or something. I'm pretty sure we can ask this thing anything and it'll tell us what to do. It's like a futuristic AI brain. I mean, look at it. This thing must know everything.
At that moment, Ted grabbed the knife back, and when he looked at it, it reflected an image of him stomping on Brett's head while he played a concert on top of the mystical mountain to a mob of fervent fans. The image filled his heart with great joy, and he let out a mischievous laugh. Then, Wes grabbed back the knife, and what he saw was something quite different, as it showed him just what he needed to see as well. And what he saw was something very strange, but something that changed the course of the haunted house realm forever. What he saw was an army of ghosts haunting Brett, chasing him deep inside the darkest part of his soul, all the way down to the depths. And the gamma knife showed him that it had the power to pull off this vile fantasy, that if he kept passing the knife back and forth to Ted, that it would gain enough power from both of them to be able to penetrate Brett's mind and assail him with this terrifying ghost army. It showed Wes that it in fact had magic AI powers, and that it just needed one more soul, full of desire, anger, and resentment, to fuel its mission. Because you see, in order to make ghosts, it needed that lustful energy for power, like some kind of grotesque and malevolent battery. Once Wes saw how the whole thing worked, he saw reflected in the gamma knife Brett's tragic fall from grace, and also saw Ted losing another bet, much to his delight. Ted then suddenly grabbed the knife back and danced around with childlike delight while looking at it. They kept going like this for hours, each reveling in what the knife showed them. As time went on, a very intriguing thing happened. The gamma knife's influence on them began to converge more and more into a single message, meant to be conveyed to both of them simultaneously. Things came to a head when all of a sudden they both saw the same words appear on the gamma knife, blinking in white and red lights. It read, "Release the haunting, press here." They realized what they had to do, and they looked up at each other, wide-eyed with a vengeful excitement. Without delay, Wes spitefully pressed the magic button, and a horde of evil ghosts came flying out of the knife, swarming into the air above them, cackling with delight. It was a truly horrifying sight, and the sound of the ghosts' laughter was pure evil. It scared the living shit out of Wes and Ted, but it was nothing in magnitude compared to the sheer terror that would soon befall Brett. Because you see, the ghosts were created by Wes, Ted, and the gamma knife, specifically for Brett and Brett alone, to create an extraordinary kind of personal horror show that would shake his soul to the depths. The ghosts suddenly converged at the top of the room, and with snapping, blood-tinged fangs, obsidian eyes, and tattered clothes, with their foul stench, twisted thoughts, and ghastly shouts, the ghosts broke through the ceiling and vanished from the hut, flying eagerly across the haunted house realm to go haunt Brett. And they were pretty fucking hungry. When Ted and Wes saw the ghosts fly away, they turned to each other, let out a victorious battle cry, and high-fived so hard that it stung their hands really, really bad. They then both enthusiastically gave Brett the bird and went on drinking more shitty beers late into the night, laughing like comic book supervillains as they reveled in their new-found glory. Brett would be no more, the ghosts would surely destroy him, and they would reap all the benefits. What was about to happen to Brett was totally heinous and deranged. And here is the song that someone wrote about it, who knew it well.
answer came in action. He never spoke a word. Or maybe I laid down the phone before he could be heard.
I somehow feel forsaken, like he had closed the door.
I guess I just stopped needing him as much as once before. But maybe he's still with me. The latch was left unhooked. He's waiting in the wind and rain. I simply haven't looked. I
Chapter 8. The Rift.
In order to tell this story, we must go back in time just a few hours. Brett had gone to bed that night wonderfully drunk. After the bathtub gin swim, he stumbled back to his hut, surrounded by a crowd of his biggest fans. Brett had them hanging on his every word, telling hilarious jokes and acting out old stories while shotgunning beers and spiking them on the ground with triumphant fist pumps and howls. It had been a totally epic night, and Brett felt like a god. In between the laughter and beers, Brett couldn't help but wonder if this whole thing wasn't just a little too good to be true. I mean, how could someone like him, a naked, slightly fat, bearded, averagely good-looking dude, all of a sudden be the biggest rock star in the world? When he thought about the chain of events that had led him to this, it was just fucking wild. Brett's walk back to his hut after the bathtub gin swim was practically perfect, save for the fact that Brett still had some doubt and just the slightest unease with accepting the true magnitude of his good fortune. It was just a little too good to be true. When Brett finally got home, the crowd begged him to tell one last joke, and instead of opening his mouth, he rhythmically humped the air, flapping his balls furiously. The crowd erupted with childlike laughter as they heard his nuts slap against his sweaty body. It was the perfect way to end the night. When Brett got inside, he stumbled into his inner chamber, high-fiving the fire demon guards in an awkward, yet totally graceful, stumble to his bed. He was hammered, but he felt great. God, it was good to be in bed. He snuggled up against his cold pillow, which was chilled from deep inside by a magic orb, gifted to him by a lizard wizard, and he felt the perfectly warm heat of the fire demons from across the room, while still hearing the divine melodies he played on stage, echoing softly in his head. Feeling completely content, he crushed a few Cliff Bars because he was starving, took a few good long deep breaths, and passed the fuck out. He was on track to have a fantastic sex dream, where he flew on a magic carpet with the hot Asian chicks high above the haunted house, into a flower-filled sky that rained the witch's delicious gin. But instead, there was a great disturbance in the haunted house force. Just as his heartbeat slowed and he started to snore, he was awoken suddenly by the shrillest, most malevolent laugh he had ever heard. He sat up in his bed with a jolt, utterly startled, and gasped in terror. When he opened his eyes, he saw the most dreadful sight anyone had ever seen. It was a horde of ghosts, resembling his deepest, darkest fears. Each spirit represented one of his worst anxieties, phobias, insecurities, hang-ups, and even his pet peeves. The total spectrum of Brett's own personal afflictions and sufferings was displayed to him in a swirling symphony of horror. The ghosts each took the form of one of his most feared sights, sounds, smells, tastes, thoughts, and feelings. And they all swarmed together to weave a perfectly evil tapestry that appeared to him like a horror film of his own life. And their sinister dance made it seem to Brett like everything in his life had been a complete mistake, all leading to this nightmare he was now living. The ghosts he saw weren't the kind of ghosts you see on Halloween, like most of the ghosts who lived in the haunted house. They weren't all white sheet-like looking things with black eyes, nor did they have striped prison suits on with balls and chains around their ankles, nor did they float around creepily in faint shimmers of light. No, the ghosts Brett saw were different, since they were each created by Wes, Ted, and the AI just for Brett, and their desire to eat was even more insatiable than a normal ghost. All ghosts were hungry, but these ghosts could have eaten everything in their path and still had room left. The only thing that would satisfy them was Brett's plump self. So, what Brett saw was Ghost Scrambled Greg from Pigeons playing ping pong as the world's most respected guitarist and cherished frontman, and that was utterly nauseating. He saw an annoying drunk chick changing the radio in his car to top 40 pop, with the smell of Malibu rum and dick on her breath. He saw his least favorite teacher slam down a test with the grade F written in blood, with his entire class looking like rotting corpse zombies pointing at him and laughing, while farting farts that smelled like the East River. He heard the voice of his friend Ben, who would never shut the fuck up at shows, blabbering in his ear endlessly, and he was totally annoyed. And all of a sudden, he had chafing so bad that it felt like his balls were being dipped into a bed of hot coals, and he looked down to see a bunch of tiny ghosts licking his sack with tongues made out of his least favorite kind of guitar pick, and it broke his heart just as bad as it singed his balls. These were the kind of ghosts that assailed Brett as he quivered in terror in his pathetic little bed in his hut, which had turned into a mosh pit at a 100-hour-long Creed concert. It was pure hell, and it seemed to last all night long. As the moon finally rose through his now shattered window, Brett struggled to even breathe. He was so terrified. But the sight of the moon offered him one tiny ounce of strength, and he took a deep breath, rolled out of his bed, and fell onto the floor. Looking up in desperation, he crawled toward the opening. Finding himself outside now somehow, he felt the soft light of the moon fall on his skin, and he stood up, still feeling pretty drunk. He let out a pathetic whimper and started stumbling toward the ridge in the distance. And, legend has it, this song was written about this moment.
Last night, in the moments my thoughts were adrift, coasting the terrace, approaching a rift, through which I could spy several glimpses beneath of a darkness the light from above could not reach. I spied wings of reason, herself taking flight, and upon yonder precipice saw her light, and glare back at me one last look of dismay, as if she were the last one she thought I'd betray. So much, the better, I said to myself, and drawing quite close to the top of the shelf, I struggled with destiny up on the ledge, and gasped when defeated he slipped off the edge. Silence contagious in moments like these, consumed me and strengthened my will to appease the passion that sparked me one terrible night, and shocked and persuaded my soul to ignite. said to myself, and drawing quite close to the top of the shelf, I struggled with destiny up on the ledge, and Gas, when defeated, he slipped off the edge. And silence contagious in moments like these consume me and strengthen my will to appease the passion that sparked me one terrible night, and shocked and persuaded my soul to ignite. And shocked and persuaded my soul to ignite. Shocked and persuaded my soul to ignite. Shocked and persuaded my soul to ignite. Shocked and persuaded my soul to ignite.
Chapter 9. About to Run.
Brett was deep inside his own head for a few minutes there, trying desperately to come to terms with what had just happened. But the ghosts were hot on his tail, and they assailed him once again just after he got to the edge of the ridge. They swelled up behind him in a violent and merciless wave, like the cosmic army of hell. And he knew that the only thing he could do was run. And as you may remember from our first tale, Brett was pretty fast. As Brett ran faster than Usain Bolt, the ghosts followed him relentlessly. He could feel their hunger as they sniffed at him rabidly, slashing their saliva-drenched fangs and reaching out for him with their vile lizard-like tongues. He ran for hours and hours down an endless hallway that seemed to be closing in on him, offering him no way out. He cried out in terror, and his frightened voice swirled in a ghastly echo that reverberated in his ears, throwing him into a spell of utter confusion. And someone wrote this song about the moment just before he took his first step.
Dangers on this road. Ain't no place to get caught alone. It's a graveyard on this trail.
I'm about to run. That old familiar feeling. Trapped and haunted. The noose around my neck. Regrets. Maybe it's not too late. About to run. Forgive me. In flight, can turn away. Exhale, the memories are a little bit lighter. The wounds, the fever. The wrong was long ago. The wrong was long ago. Liar. Sometimes the ghost is quiet, but the ghost is always there. And it seems no matter how far I go, he goes with me. Sitting on the floor, thinking, breathing, burning, burning. I'm about to run.
And so, with no end in sight to this nightmare for Brett, we end Act 1. Stay tuned for Act 2.